I salute you, Ambassador. For one without the gift, you were quite a thorn.
If you're an Arcane fan like me, I can imagine you're still reeling from the series' emotional and action-packed finale. With so many stories to resolve, I wasn't sure where the characters would end up at the end of the season, but the ending of Arcane left me with conflicting emotions. There were some characters that I wasn't ready to say goodbye to, but I was relieved to see those who remained and were rebuilding their lives after surviving the fight of their lives. In today's video, I want to talk about the story arcs that concluded in the Arcane's finale, and how minor changes could have resulted in different fates for everyone in Piltover and Zaun.
You are no Madada.
You remember. Shut up and fight!
Number 1. Echo Never Returned. One of my favorite episodes in the second season gave us a glimpse of an alternative world without Violet. After becoming trapped by the Hex Gate, Echo's subconscious takes over the life of his alternative self, leaving him in a version of Zaun where the people have brokered peace with Piltover, resulting in a thriving society. The peaceful atmosphere is a far cry from the life Echo knows, especially where his loved ones are concerned. While Vi may have been sacrificed in their attempt to steal from Jace's apartment, her loved ones are able to survive. Echo has the chance to reunite with Clagger, Milo, and Powder, who are just as dedicated to bettering life in Zaun. He also has a second chance to see Benzo, the man he once assisted and who acted as his surrogate father. It was refreshing to see what some of their lives could have become had Zaun and Piltover never discovered the power of Hex Tech. For a brief moment, especially after Echo and Powder kissed, I thought that Echo may choose to remain in his new reality, as Heimerdinger suggested. I was pleasantly surprised when this wasn't the case, and that his return to his reality allowed his alternate self to continue his life with Powder in his stead. However, if Echo had made the decision to stay, then the outcome of Arcane would have been very different. Firstly, he would not have prevented Jinx from taking her own life. After Isha's death, she's overcome by grief and wants nothing more than to prevent further harm from those she loves. Genuinely believing she's a Jinx, she burns down every location with emotional significance to her and then plans to use a grenade to take her own life. Echo steps in and convinces her to continue fighting, and they later bring allies to the forces in Piltover. Without their help, Piltover may have fallen and Warwick may have taken Vi's life. Echo is also partly responsible for Victor's defeat. As much as Jace tried to make his friend see reason, it's not until Echo lands a physical attack on Victor does his mask crack, allowing his inner self, the hopeful inventor from the first season, to speak with Jace. Without that push, it's possible that Victor would have succeeded in his grand evolution.
I'll catch my breath. See if I can talk an old friend out of blowing us up.
Number 2. Caitlyn's death. Much of the second season revolves around Caitlyn and her clouded judgment. Grief is a powerful emotion, so it's no surprise that she begins to spiral after her mother's death. She further strays from the path of good when she parts ways with Vi, as she's left without anyone to keep her grounded and help her see reason. In her emotional state, Mbessa capitalizes on her pain, forging Caitlyn into a weapon. Caitlyn becomes obsessed with catching Jinx and stopping a rebellion from Zaun, which makes her a strict militant with little remorse. It's not until she meets Vi near Victor's encampment that she realizes the error of her ways and decides to turn against Mbessa. Caitlyn spends the remainder of the season trying to make up for these mistakes and do right by Vi. In the finale, this accumulates into a one-on-one fight between Mbessa and Caitlyn. Caitlyn receives numerous injuries during their confrontation and only survives because of Mel's shields. If one of these shields failed, or Caitlyn failed to act, then her death could have repercussions across Piltover. Not only would Violet lose the person she loved, but the city would lose another Kiraman. The Kiramans are a staple in Piltover society, and they maintain a special archive that details the history of the city. They're often looked to for leadership and guidance, and Caitlyn's death would mean the end of their bloodline and the city. The shape of her father throughout the season implies he's not ready to help rebuild, and will suffer further after the loss of his daughter.
No, I'm not. I don't deserve it.
It's your legacy now, Caitlyn.
Number 3. Victor's Victory. In the same episode where Echo experiences a peaceful society that could have been, Jace witnesses a terrifying future where everything had been wiped from existence, leaving only Victor's evolved followers behind. He spends countless weeks in that reality struggling to survive with a leg injury and limited resources. When he finally reaches the epicenter of the world-ending event, he finds an older version of Victor who encourages him to stop his reality from befalling the same fate. Jace returns to his world and does everything in his power to stop Victor, including delivering a killing blow to his old friend. Yet Victor's connection to the Arcane is strong, and he is able to survive with the help of Dr. Revek. He later creates a new form of evolved soldiers to help Mbessa take Piltover by force. He meets Jace at the Hex Gate, and the pair compete for its control. Victor ultimately wins the fight, tapping into the subconscious of everyone in Piltover, including Jace. The pair continue to converse, with Jace ultimately showing Victor the dark future he saw, which convinces him to give up his pursuits. The existence of such a dark reality proves that Jace may not have broken through Victor if it wasn't for Echo's help on the outside. If Jace had failed to convince Victor that their world was worth fighting for, even with its imperfections, then he would have become another of the evolved people, dissolving into the hive mind that Victor created. The ending of Arcane would be nothing more than the fate foreshadowed in Jace's alternate reality.
I thought I could bring an end to the world's suffering. But when every equation was solved, all that remained.
Number 4. Warwick saw reason. I was surprised to learn that Vander's story wasn't over in the second season. Of all the characters in Arcane, he's someone who can't catch a moment of respite. Known for his efforts to bring peace to Zaun and his good character, Dr. Revek uses Vander's blood and body to create Warwick, believing the beast held the key to reviving his daughter. Warwick is a beast moved toward violence at the scent of blood, but Vander's subconscious remains. It's his only connection to Violet and Jinx that gives him a second chance at humanity. Unfortunately, their decision to trust Victor backfires as he turns Warwick into one of his evolved soldiers. During the battle with Piltover, little of Vander remains, as Warwick does everything in his power to murder his former children. Yet Victor had spent countless nights trying to untangle Vander from Warwick, bringing the man's mind back to the surface. If his efforts paid off, then Warwick could have succumbed to Vander's influence in the end, allowing the family to reunite one last time and stand against Mbessa's forces together. Vander's return could have helped turn the tide in battle, as becoming Warwick had made him stronger than an entire squadron of enforcers. It would have also prevented Jinx's sacrifice in the end, as she wouldn't need to give her life to save Vi. In the end, the family could have found a way to have a peaceful life in the aftermath of the battle.
Always with you, sis.
Number 5. Mbessa's control. From the moment she arrived in Piltover, Mbessa had ulterior motives. She claims that her actions were to protect her family, but she continues to grasp for power even after Mel vanishes mid-season. She becomes power-hungry in a short amount of time, using many of the other characters for personal gain. Her influence assists in turning people like Caitlyn and Victor from the right path, twisting them into different versions of themselves. In the end, she is willing to do anything to achieve her goal, even making an enemy out of her daughter. Mel ultimately stops Mbessa, resulting in her mother's death, but what if she didn't have the resolve to throw Mbessa to the Black Rose Sorceress? Had Mel not intervened, Mbessa could have encouraged her soldiers to continue the siege of Piltover. Even without Victor's help, her forces outnumbered the Enforcers and their Zaun allies. It's also possible she had others on the inside, like Maddie, who could have given her an edge in the fight. It might not have taken much for Mbessa to gain control of the city, expanding Noxus's control.
This city I built for our family.
If it was for us, you wouldn't have fought me.
While I like the ending we received for Arcane, many events could have occurred differently, changing the fates of the characters. With the bittersweet endings of many characters, I can't help wishing for an outcome that didn't result in so many losses, especially for those who fought adamantly to atone for their mistakes. Perhaps in the future, more projects like Arcane and League of Legends will allow characters like Jinx to have another shot at happiness.
Last time Vander needed us, we tried it alone, and nothing was ever the same.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated on our uploads.
Humanity's self-corrupting contradiction.
You've always wanted to cure what you thought were weaknesses.